and then I am just going to be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about. I just have to find you real quick. All right, there we go. Okay. Good ante. All right.
If I could hit my team, it would be great.
Yeah, we'll maybe go over a couple things on that in a minute. All right.
Keep fighting. I'm here. Keep fighting. You're powered up. Get in there. You can stop me. System health compromised.
All right, so a couple different things there. Firstly, if we're going to be nanoing somebody, especially if they're a short range character like Junker Queen, who is a brawl character, she's short ranged. You're not going to want to nano them when they're really far away from the enemy team. So watch their distance from the enemy team. Additionally, we had a better combo who probably would have been McCree, and maybe we can go after that after we're done here. And then we'll go over a lot of nade stuff after we're done, but generally speaking, just make sure we're looking for more anti-nades and looking for lander nades. Okay. During some of these fights, it's looking like we're tunnel visioning in on our team a little bit and kind of ignoring kind of what the enemy team's up to, where they're at, you know, not noticing the Genji blade, walking in the fire strikes, that sort of thing. So just make sure we're paying attention to where the enemy team's at, what they're doing.
Don't fret. I see you.
Sure.
Healing fortified. I won't let you fall. I've got you. You're powered up. Get in there. Taking care of you.
Okay. Much better nano boost. Good job waiting kind of until he was much closer and using it to combo on his ult. Definitely I would say, as of the moment, we'll go more in depth on this after the game is over, but I would say that your gameplay looks like you're pretty much heal botting the entire time. There's no more depth than just, I'm going to heal my team, I'm going to heal my team, I'm going to heal my team. Whereas on a character like Ana, you have a lot more value that you can get out of, for example, your abilities are big chunks of value that you can get in these fights. So look for more anti-nades, look to chuck sleeps in. I don't think we've really been using sleep very frequently as an ability, so I would say get them out there more often.
Okay.
Look at them out there more often, and then look to, you know, get value and do things with them. And we'll go over how you can do that after we're done here.
Yeah, I typically use sleeps just for like if I'm personally getting pushed.
Yeah, if you're not personally getting pushed, like that's usually a good idea if you use it defensively like that. But if you don't need to save it for defensive, then you can just use it offensively and just chuck it in there and make sure it's doing things. And we can talk about maybe when you do each afterwards.
It's go time. Let's get back to basics. I won't let you go.
Yeah, the main concept is that abilities not used are abilities that don't do anything, and it just means lack of value.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
Probably would have been a pretty good opportunity to land the nano on Orion when he's kind of going in aggro and swinging on their team.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I pressed the wrong button, so...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at any point there, we probably could have done, like, even up until, like, I was saying it, like, if Reinhardt's in there fighting, brawling people, probably wouldn't be too shabby of an idea. Once again, same concept as the nades, but ults that aren't used don't do anything, right? When we don't use it, we don't get the value, we lose the fight because we didn't get the value.
Right.
So the more that you're using these ults and abilities, the more we're going to be able to do in these fights.
Payload stalled. Get on it. Covering you. I need healing.
First thing that you should be trying to do as soon as you see the Genji is try to sleep him. Both times that he's dashed at us, the first time we didn't really seem to notice until we were dead. This time we went for the nade first rather than the sleep. If you went for the nade, you're just going to die before you're able to do anything with it. Sleep shuts him down completely. Though it's a difficult thing to land, admittedly, it's still better than trying to go for the nade and then getting one-tap comboed anyways.
I keep you up. 60 seconds. Taking care of you.
Wait, you're done.
Taking damage.
Grenade.
Okay.
You're powered up. Get in there. 30 seconds. Didn't come this far to quit now.
Oh.
I don't know why you're screwing that up so much right now. I do not typically like misclick my buttons this much. I have no idea what's
Oh,
happening.
you're good.
Stay put.
I'm here. Keep fighting. In Chief MN. The payload's moving. About time.
Speed it up, everyone.
How's that for sound therapy?
I'm feeling good.
I have you. Keep fighting. Healing fortified. I'm under attack.
The payload is approaching its destination.
Mhm. Yeah. Really, only thing there would have just been ducking around cover half a second
You'll
earlier.
have to try harder than
Yeah.
Not too much else.
I have you. Keep fighting.
That should be in your money. Get into the field. Step right.
30 seconds.
No recovery. Not down or not at all.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Alright. Be careful about going and standing like directly on cart when you're on that, when the fight's taking place on cart. It's okay if you're pushing like the first half of point, but usually the second half of point when you're about to cap point, you don't want to be standing on point as Ana or supports in general because that's the most dangerous place for you to be. Alright, we're gonna don't hop into a game quite yet. We're gonna go over a bunch of different things. And this is one of the reasons why quick play is probably better because there's so much stuff, and then we just have to wait even longer if we did comp. But I am streaming. Let's see. Pick up on yeah, let me know when you're on the stream.
Leave a broken world behind.
Okay, I am looking.
All right. So we got a bunch of different things to cover. Firstly, let's cover just something simple. We accidentally nano Baptiste. Have you adjusted your nano sensitivity as of yet?
I can specifically adjust that. I didn't know I could adjust that specifically.
Yep. So if you go to if you go over to controls and then change hero, you can select which hero you're doing. A lot of characters have this same thing. Ana, Kiriko, Zenyatta, Zarya, Mercy, they all have a very similar setting. So you go to hero and you'll see some of the Ana specific settings. Nano boost sensitivity is one of those. Now, what nano boost sensitivity does is if nano boost sensitivity is at 10%, which is the lowest, it means that you would have to be directly looking at somebody for your nano boost to connect. Now, that's not something that you want. You don't want it to be that difficult to land, but when you lower this, for 100% it's just going to be way too lenient, and it might accidentally end up going to someone on your screen just because they're a bit closer to you rather than being who you're aiming at. So putting that a little bit more towards the middle is going to make it so that it's a little bit more specific, and then it's going to pick a target that's closer to your crosshair. So I might recommend between 50 to 80.
Okay.
And
I have
then
750, so see how that works.
Yep. Part of that's just gonna be how confident you are in your aim as well. Kiriko, same thing with her healing Afuda sensitivity and Swift Step sensitivity. I might recommend putting those about the same. Then Zenyatta and other characters are like the same, are gonna be the same thing. So I just go and explore some of those when I get the time. Couple other things. Let's talk abilities for a minute. So I did mention abilities. Now let's break abilities apart and go much more in depth on them. So the first thing I was saying is abilities, you want to use them, right? Because if you're not using them, they're not doing anything. And if they're not doing anything, you're not getting value. If you're not getting value, well, how are you going to expect to win your games if you're not doing anything, right? And a lot of the time it looked like a lot of your gameplay was just heal, 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 heal. When there's a lot more that we can be doing, specifically on Ana and other supports, a lot of what we can be doing is using our abilities and getting value out of our abilities. Supports have pretty much the most powerful abilities in the game. If tanks have the best ultimates in the game, DPS have the best passive damage in the game, supports have the best passive abilities in the game. And that's just going to mean that you can get a lot of value out of them. When you land sleep, you can shut down entire ultimates, you can shut down abilities, you can guarantee kills. Nade can guarantee big group kills. It can stop people from being able to heal and can make them easier to finish off, right? So let's say somebody's already a bit low, we land the nade, well now they're stuck at a third of their HP for the next like 4 seconds, right? Which is really powerful because that opens up for easy kills on them. So let's, now that we've talked about a little bit about like why they're so good, let's talk about like how we can use them a bit better. First, we're looking for both quantity and quality. We want to get them out there frequently. I would say we're using it very infrequently. So in the time that we could be getting out, like if we use them off of cooldown, so let's say we just use it every single time we get it, we could probably be getting like 3 times the amount of abilities out than we are currently. I would probably say, yeah, about even. I'd say we maybe use nades slightly more than sleep, but generally speaking, like you could be getting out a lot more abilities. So the first step is look to use them more frequently. The only time you would not use them off of cooldown is if you feel like you're being pressured, contested by enemies. Like let's say they have Genji Trace or that sort of thing, and you feel like Genji and Trace are on you, then you start to hold on to your abilities. The more characters on their team they have contesting you, then the more abilities you should be holding on to. So start off holding, if they have a little bit of people contesting you, start off holding on to sleep so you can sleep them. If they have an entire team chasing after you, maybe you hold on to both of your abilities. Of course, use them if you see a massive ability, massive opportunity, but usually you want to save it to keep yourself alive if you're being dove constantly by everybody. But if nobody's contesting you, like in that last game, how frequently were we getting dove by,
Not the last.
like, you know, for example, like the only character on their team who could have even possibly dove us was Genji, and how frequently
Yeah,
was Genji on
well,
top
it
of us?
happened like twice,
Yeah, happened like
maybe
twice.
3 times.
Yeah, and most of those were like during his ults, right?
Yeah.
So we probably could have just off a cooldown just tossed our abilities and got them out there doing things. So let's talk more about how to land the abilities. Quality. Firstly, let's talk nade. Don't try to chuck nade directly at people. So if I throw nade at somebody and I miss, well, now nade just goes sailing off into Narnia. But if I throw it at the floor, well, now it has this gigantic splash radius and it can hit more people. They can also body block it from hitting other people if we throw it into people. So you want to aim at the floor, not people, the floor in between as many people as possible. Be ambitious with it. Try to get the more the merrier. If you're landing like a 3-man anti-nade, that's probably like 4 times the value of like a 1-man anti-nade. It's a lot better. And then that's infinitely be better than no anti-nade. Now, on top of that as well, make sure you're just watching for the enemy team to group up and waiting for opportunities where the enemy team groups up. That way you can land it on multiple people. Helpful nade tech that will allow you to land your nades at more of a medium to long range. I noticed that we never really, if they were not right next to us, we would never chuck an ability like far away. Right? We never throw it far away. This is a helpful tech that you can use to make it so that you're much more accurate throwing nades medium far away. Firstly, you have to scope in, line up your ultimate charge with somebody, and press E, and then your nade's going to hit them from pretty much any height or any range that you're at. These guys are on a little bit more of a slope and more even-footed here, so we're going to line up our Q instead. We chuck that in. Nade hits. That one's going to be pretty helpful for making sure you land those. Lastly here with it is take a look and think about all the different obstacles that you have, right? You're trying to chuck a nade and, you know, like maybe like a couple times it got blocked by things, right? You have teammates who can block it, shields, tanking abilities, and also even enemy tanks can body block it from hitting other people behind them. So teammates are pretty simple. Teammates, we can go to the left, to the right. We can back up and throw it over. We can walk through and forwards, or we can just wait for them to move. Enemies, pretty much the same thing. Try to get it around them. Shields, you have a bunch of different, and abilities, you have a bunch of different options. You can throw it around the shield, so somebody over here. You can throw it up, side, possibly under. You can wait for the shield to break. You can wait for the character to die. You can wait for the ability to go on cooldown. You can potentially try to time it for when they drop the shield, right? So, for example, one thing, you know, if you're looking at like a Reinhardt or something like that, Reinhardt's going to be dropping a shield when he tries to push and swing, right? He can't swing and shield, so maybe try to nade while he's swinging on people, or try to sleep while he's swinging on people. And then we get it in, that's all bunch, but at the same time, that's a lot of obstacles. So we don't always want to, like, that's how you do it, but you don't always want to try to get it, you know, try to have to go through every single obstacle. So instead what we can do is take what you call an off angle. So if the enemy team is here, our team is here, and this is the main angle, all we have to do to get around to all of our obstacles is just come to the side real quick. Well, now we just got around our team, the tanks, the shields, the abilities, straight to the back line. Very easy, very safe, very fast, right? It only took us a couple seconds, and we can instantly be back to our team. Yeah, that's pretty much as simple as that. Another example, enemy team, our team, main angle. These are going to be an option maybe about like 50% of the time. We can heal, come up to high ground, very fast, very safe. Drop nades straight in the back line. They don't really, unless they like turn up to shield us, in which case our team shoots at them. But it's going to be a lot easier to get the abilities through. Just be careful that you're not going on flanks. Flanks are going to be if we just like go all the way around and all the way around. They're much longer, much more dangerous. As Ana, you never really want to do flanks.
Right.
That all makes sense? Any questions with that?
No, that makes sense.
Yep. Other thing is put thought into your abilities. Generally speaking, healing can go on a bit more of an autopilot. And abilities, you want to put more thought than just, oh, I'm using the aid now, and I'm using sleep now, right? You can sometimes even be thinking about them seconds before you get it. So my sleep's on 10 seconds, 9 seconds. I'm going, okay, who can I sleep? I'm looking for the sleep. This is in a great angle. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to line it up. I'm going for this person. Nade's sleep's coming off cooldown. I'm going for sleep. Right, so you can be thinking about this before you even get it, or even before you're using it. The idea is just put more effort than just the half a second in terms of ability usage.
Kill confirmed.
That's mostly it. Sleeps, lead your sleeps, and nades too. They're both projectiles, so throw it ahead of where they're moving. The further away you go, that way they walk into it. I think that's mostly it with abilities. Scope usage as on, or I guess let's start with your aim felt a bit wonky. What is your sensitivity and DPI at?
My DPI should be like 1200, I believe. My sense is 5%.
5%. Okay, so 1200 by 5. Oh, that's not too high. That's maybe more of a medium. Do you have a large mouse pad or small mouse pad?
Yeah, I have a large mouse pad.
Okay, so that's not too bad. What kind of mouse do you have?
Logitech G302.
Okay, so that should honestly, that all sounds great. I would say most of that would then come down to just how you're aiming, rather than like any technical stuff, because that all seems good. Yeah, that sounds about it. Maybe you could consider going down a tad bit with your sensitivity if you're struggling to hit shots. We'll talk in a second about how you can scope better to be landing more shots, but I'd say generally speaking, it maybe looked like we're having a slight bit of trouble landing them. Other things, do you warm up before you play Overwatch, like competitive?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, what will we warm up doing?
I'll do like either like deathmatch or just like any arcade games is typically what I do.
Okay. I would say make it so that like the purpose of warm-ups typically is it should be intensive aim and mechanics, because that's what you're warming up is. You're getting your blood pumping and getting you're de-rusting your aim, as it will kind of decay a little bit overnight. And that's kind of what the purpose of it is. So I would say pick an aim intensive thing. Arcade might not be the best because a lot of times those are a bit more like goofy, or they're objectives based and teammates based. Whereas if you do things like triad free for all, like you mentioned deathmatch, that's great. Triad free for all might even be slightly better. You can get those in custom games. You can do other arcade modes, or sorry, not arcade, workshop modes, such as 1v1 arena, aim arena, gun game. You can do, maybe you can mix in some aim trainer sorts of things in there as well. But I would just do something that's aim intensive, because that's going to be what really warms up your aim. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then really you only need to do that about like 10-15 minutes or so. You don't need to do like five arcade games, but not to say that you were doing that. Besides that, yeah, just think about how you're aiming, right?
Yeah.
Scope usage. Let's talk about scope usage. Generally speaking, I don't think we're using it as well as we could be. So when it comes to scope usage, you have unscoped, scoped, and quick scope. Those are your kind of 3 different types of scope. We'll ignore quick scoping, or I guess we'll talk about it briefly, but advantages and disadvantages of each. Unscoped keeps mobility, keeps visibility, is a projectile shot. So advantages would be the first two. Disadvantage would be range, because you cannot accurately land projectiles at a range as effectively. It's going to be more difficult than a hit scan shot. Scoped, now this lowers sensitivity. This lowers movement speed. This lowers visibility, but it also zooms you in and makes it, and all those things make it easier for longer ranged things, right? Longer range shots. Also, it's a hit scan shot now, right? So all that's going to make it so that you're able to land shots at a range much more effectively. So generally speaking, close range unscoped, long range scoped. About that range is going to be about like 10 to 15 meters or so, so like here to there on squishy targets, so non-tanks. And then on tanks, it's going to be about 15 to 20 meters, right? So anything within that is scoped, anything beyond that is unscoped. Sorry, I mixed that one.
Other way around. Yeah.
Other way around. Unscoped, scoped. Quick scope comes when you're under pressure. The disadvantage, you get all the benefits of both of them in that you keep visibility, mobility, hit scan shot, but the issue is that it's a slow fire rate. So you use this when you're under pressure or you're trying to move somewhere while shooting people far away. Okay, all that makes sense?
Yeah.
Alright. Now, did you, maybe there's like a couple other things to go over, but did you want to get to like Kiriko gameplay? Because I noticed you wanted to.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wanna try it out?
Sure. Go ahead, queue up. Kiriko settings, like I might recommend with her. Firstly, you might want to lower healing Afuda sensitivity so that you're going to be able to, so you can more accurately heal people. Besides that, I would probably turn off toggle healing Afuda, if you have not already, because what that does is it's going to allow you to a bit easier swap between healing and damaging in a lot of cases.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You have to tap less.
Do that.
Yeah, you have to tap less buttons than otherwise. You kind of have to double click to cancel it.
Yeah.
What else is there? Kiriko, are you aware of her range on her swift step?
I have it kind of understood. Yeah, I mean, I know
the rough range generally.
Yeah.
It's just so you are aware. It's 30 meters, but most of the time you just see it pop up, right?
Yeah.
But it's 30 meters. Ultimate, when you're using your ultimate, note that it will travel down surfaces, but not up unless it's going off of stairs. Also, really important thing to note is that you can't, because it multiplies cooldowns by 3 times, and it lasts 15 seconds, you can use 3 protection Afudas while in it. So I can ult. Oh, you already knew that one? You watch Kiriko?
I did.
Yep. So that's another important one to keep in mind. Just use it kind of off cooldown while you're in it, just because you'll get it back super frequently. All right. I am spectating.
Everyone, heal up.
There we kind of like disappeared after Moira faded at us. Maybe we didn't have to run away that fast. Possibly even could have dueled her since it was us and Soldier versus her.
Come on, Shimada. Like a gentle rain.
Okay. Watch about face tanking in front of your whole team. Look to.
Protecting.
good Suzu usage. Yeah, like I was saying before, just make sure you're not face tanking in front of your whole team. Stand behind them. Okay. When your teammates are full HP or very close to full HP and you are still healing them, that's called overhealing. Overhealing is going to waste time for you as well as resources. You want to make sure that anytime your teammates are full HP, we can do something else. We can reload, we can shoot. That's probably going to be the big thing. You can use abilities, look for somebody else to heal, but just make sure we're not healing people who are full HP. Or even very close to full HP. Very nice shots. Uh-oh. Great shots on Junker Queen. There, we could have used either ability to get out of that situation. So we could have used protection, or we could have teleported to somebody out away from it. Also, we did. I think we peeked Soldier or the McCree. We kind of went out into the open. So
I did not want. I think I got pushed there because I was planning on just sitting behind the barrier there.
Yep. So the big thing is abilities then. If we're using our abilities properly, Kiriko's like one of the most survivable characters out there. Okay. I might even recommend trying to get out of the habit of just holding down the left click button. I noticed you did that on Ana and Kiriko, and a lot of times that's just going to mean that firstly you're sending shots into nothing. That's wasting ammo, that means you're going to have to reload more often, it means that you're wasting time, it's going to be doing a lot of overhealing. So just avoid the habit of just holding down left click just all the time. It kind of felt like a 24/7 thing.
Okay.
She's full HP, right? Keep sending right clicks. I'd probably say just damage more frequently. Just every time that you're not needed elsewhere, you're damaging. Should be more frequent than it is currently. Pretty solid E usage there. Okay, well now it's too late, but generally speaking, ults that are used first get more value than ults that are used second, so usually the best time for ults is the start of fights. Mid-fight is okay, late fight is usually situational, in-between fights is very rare. Yep, so just make sure we're looking to use it and not hold on to it, once again.
Let the Kitsune guide you.
Okay. Just remember that you're not invincible while standing in it, so same rules of cover apply. We'll go over cover after this is done, but we're out in the open, so make sure we're using cover. Possibly give it a couple extra seconds for your team to kind of group up and be ready to push with it. Once again, like, you kind of want your team to be able to push with it, not necessarily you just running in solo. That's not, sometimes that'd be okay, but not all the time when it's like a 1v5. You don't want to necessarily just run ahead of your whole team. So make sure they're kind of ready for it. That was in terms of timing, that was maybe leaning a bit more towards like right before the start of the fight, right?
Okay.
So you wait for the fight to develop just a hair more, let their teams get closer and whatnot. I'm going to hop in the practice major and go over cover real quick. Okay, what was good was that when you were throwing in shurikens, kunai, we were hitting a lot of headshots. That's great. That's what you want to be doing. I would say just damage much more frequently. We're kind of getting over healbot syndrome at the moment. So I would say find it right now. The split is looking more like 80-20 or maybe 75-25, something like that, where we're DPSing just maybe a little rarely. But generally split, I don't have the exact split yet because Kiriko's still a bit new. But you're probably going to be in your games much more of a split where maybe you're doing something closer to 50-50. If they have a lot more damage and your team has less healing, maybe you're healing more. If your team has another great healer, you're not taking a lot of damage, well then you don't need to you don't need to heal as much. You can do more damaging, but definitely more than what you were doing. And there were a lot of times where people would be full HP or even very close to full HP. Like if somebody's only down 10, 20 HP, 30 HP, if a tank's down 50 HP, you gotta think to yourself, okay, is this worth healing in comparison to all the other things I could be doing, right? Is this value enough when I could be getting a kill, right? Landing headshots, getting a kill. When I could be using an ability. When I could be looking for somebody else who needs more healing. When I could be reloading. That sort of thing. So you gotta kind of weigh it. And a lot of times the answer is going to be if they're only down a little bit of HP, there's something more valuable you could be doing. That's not an any and all circumstances thing. Especially, like, for example, if you're in between fights, then you can kind of just go ahead and do it.
Underestimated me, Ned.
Then let's talk cover usage. So this seemed to be a little bit more of an issue with Kiriko than Ana. Probably more so because we are kind of struggling to know, like, how to push with her ultimate and things like that. But generally speaking, if I'm standing right here, enemy team standing over there, and they are looking at me and shooting at me, it's gonna take let's say we don't have our ult, or don't have teleport instantly. It takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover. Now, from cover, you cannot get shot at. You take no damage while behind cover, and that's fantastic. But in the time it took us to walk here, we died already.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if we're standing right here, well, now we can do largely the same stuff, except for now it takes us half a second to duck behind cover, right? Much, much faster, 6 times faster than what it took us before. And that means we're going to be able to stay alive, and cover's all over the place. The good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. Cover's all over the place. I can use slopes. I can use, like, pillars like this in between shots while I'm reloading when I am low HP being shot at. Corners do the same thing. Random objects that are sitting around. We can use a payload like that. Pillar, corner, doorway, corner, high grounds all act as natural cover. When we're up here, they can see us. Now they can't. He can see us. Now he can't. Right? The whole thing acts as natural cover as long as we're using it as such. On top of that, characters can't really reach us too well or up on high grounds. 2/3 need to take the stairs, and then the other third need to use abilities, which overall add survivability to you. And then finally as well, we have tons of visibility. We can see over here, here, and then also over here. But when we're on the low ground, well, now we can't see over there, or any of the high ground. All that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Why don't you go ahead and hop into another game? Probably fit another one in. Any questions so far?
I don't know, like, how to use Kiriko's ult well.
Yeah, so generally speaking, like I said before, you want to use it at the start of the fight. That's the first step, knowing when to use it. And you don't want to use it and then be the only person who walks forwards. So generally speaking, use it either when you have a big advantage and you can walk forwards by yourself. Like, let's say Sigma's up in the air. When you do use it, use cover. So don't stand smack dab in the middle of the open. But if we're using it like this, let our team walk in front of us. Use cover still, right? We can do this and walk off to the side and use these as we're approaching, right? Know that you're going to be healing faster too when you're using it, so don't feel like you have to be damaging the whole time. Use your protections to use frequently. You might even be able to use it aggressively, like if you're trying to go in, you could use your ult, pop that down real quick, go run up in someone's face, duel them for a second and then back out, right? Because you have the speed, that sort of thing. yeah, I'd say it's kind of, you kind of want to think of it the same thing as Ana ult in terms of timing and usage. It's just that don't be so aggressive that you're dying as a result.
Double kill.
Yeah. I just find myself like holding on to it way too long, and I just end up not like maybe getting my ult in once per like I guess round, and
Yep.
it sucks.
Same thing as before. It's just using it, right? Ults that aren't used don't do nothing, so you want to
Yeah.
just press the button,
You're taking a lot of damage,
you know, that sort of
huh?
thing. Wait for like, it really is all about that fight timing. Let our team be in front of us. That's pretty much the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm spectating now.
If anybody asks, I was never here.
I've got a few tricks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
Be healed.
Engage those hostiles.
Ah, damn it. Feels like sunlight, huh?
Ready for a knockout?
I'm with you.
Okay, well that sucked.
Probably gonna just peek to the left a little bit rather than putting ourselves in a really dangerous situation, and just put them in our line of sight.
Powered up. Nice.
Okay. In terms of damage, getting closer is that we can talk about this a little bit after words with range, but getting closer is always gonna be easier to hit your kunai. But of course, be careful when you're getting closer. Use cover. Always be ready to get back to your team. But you're just gonna, it's gonna be so much easier the closer you are to land your kunai.
Taking the objective.
Uh-oh. Pay attention, keep your eyes and ears open. She's been shooting at you for like, 7 seconds, so you wanna be doing something, looking at her, shooting at her. You have 2 abilities, right?
Yeah.
So awareness of your surroundings. One thing with Kiriko is you just always, whenever you're in almost any circumstance, you want to be ready at a moment's notice to teleport. You always want to have somebody in mind to teleport to.
We're outnumbered.
My servants never die.
So my frame rate is suffering a little bit.
If you want to stop streaming, you can't. That probably help.
I'm
I'm spectating in game anyways.
That was interesting.
My game tab is back in. There you go.
Kokoyo. Watashi ga mamoru. Payload stalled.
Come get healed. Meteor strike.
Carried on the wind.
I still have you.
Okay. Feel free to go wall climb up and duel her. Right? Remember that wall climb's an ability. I haven't really seen you ever use it on Kiriko. It's gonna be helpful for mobility, taking high grounds, which we already discussed are awesome. It's gonna let you go and duel people. Uh-oh.
I tried to find someone at TP too.
Once again, in that last fight, Farah was shooting at us for probably 10-15 seconds before we noticed her. We'll talk a bit about audio awareness afterwards, but also make sure we're paying attention with our eyes and seeing the rockets flying by us and seeing the rockets explode next to us and that sort of thing.
I'm with you. Kai kusuru.
No. Consider using Protection Suzu if he's in danger and he's really low there and people are shooting at him. maybe decent timing for an ult if we're trying to clean up this fight, because the fight's still happening.
Good.
Great protection there. Yeah.
I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Honestly, probably could have even used Kiriko earlier in the fight, and that probably could have gotten a sooner value. Like if you see like 3, 4 people are all on top of each other, then that's a fight. Right? That's what a fight is. So that's when we could be ulting, and that was happening like, you know, good chunk of time before we ulted.
Right.
If you're in the middle of the fight and it's getting confusing, maybe try going towards the edges of the fight, right? Take a high, climb up to a high ground, back off to the left or the right, behind. That way we're not standing in the thick of things. That's probably going to be better for you. You can heal more people, you'll be able to stay alive longer, and you'll be able to know what's actually happening in the fight.
Carried on the wind. Let's get the payload going.
Hello.
Draw strength from nature.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
When it's going through the gate, you don't actually need to be on cart until it gets to the other side. So you can probably be with your team while it's going through gate. Good protection.
Nice to know you have my back. Be careful, Shimada. Feels like sunlight, huh? Help me move the payload.
And once again, maybe back off of cart if it's getting confusing, standing directly on top, and that's also dangerous. Probably a good time to be popping ults. Right, this is last fight. We have our whole team here.
Let the Kitsune guide you. That's Fox power. Draw strength from nature. Thanks for the boost.
Alright. I am streaming, honestly, a lot better. I noticed a lot more damage being attempted, which was really good. Generally speaking, we don't have too much time to go in on this, but just crosshair placement is placing your aim. Generally speaking, the basics is aim ahead level. Kiriko, you're doing 3 times damage, so make sure you're really emphasizing those headshots, putting effort into landing headshots. Maybe don't look at Doomfist as much in the fight. He's going to be the hardest. Tanks are generally hardest things to kill. Don't want to be spending too much time looking at them unless we have an opportunity to kill them. And that's about it on that. Trying to think if there's anything else. Real quick, range. Yeah, just like on your team, be closer, faster healing whenever possible. Enemy teams, like the closer you are with your whole kit, the more you're gonna be able to do. Less delay on your healing of food, on your protection, Suzu. Less delay on your healing of Fudas. Faster healing, more accurate protection if the closer you are to your team. But you don't need to be on top of your team constantly because you can teleport to them, right? So, but when we're getting aggressive on enemies, the further away you go, the less accurate you'll be. It's a projectile. Projectiles are difficult. So, just try to get closer to the enemy team, but then always have somebody in mind who you can teleport to. So if these guys are over here, I'm going to go in. I feel pressured, I'm out, right? That's about it. So let's put this all in order. Let's do the wrap up, review, and main points. Ability usage, protection Suzu, honestly not too bad. I'd say the only thing is that there are a couple circumstances where we used it when it wasn't needed. I did like that you used it a lot more frequently than Nade, but it was just maybe sometimes we used it when people were like full HP and not being shot at, right? So make sure that we're using it when it's needed and when people are in danger. Swift step, also not too shabby. Maybe like 1 or 2 times where we would teleport into people like in the middle of their team. Don't TP into death. That's about it. Overall, Kiriko abilities probably like maybe like higher end of low to medium, something like that. Priority for you to work on. Ult usage, don't hold on to ult. Use it at the start of fights. Medium fights is okay. Late fight is situational. In between fights, which includes before fight, right? That is going to be very rare. Do you ever want to ult then? Pop it out. Make sure you're using cover. Don't stand in the middle of it. Let your team walk in front of you when you're using it. And just remember that it exists and put effort into it. Overall, that was much higher. That was probably like higher end of a medium priority for you to work on. Ana abilities, put effort into them, use them more frequently unless you're being contested. Don't try to nade people directly, aim at the feet in between as many people as possible. Scope nade tech, take off angles. You can take off angles too with Kiriko, but on Kiriko, you're not taking off angles to land abilities, you're taking off angles to get kills, right? So if we can do this real quick and pop off to the side, grab a kill, and then be back to our team really fast, right? Yeah, off angle to get abilities in. Think about all the obstacles that get in our way. Overall, Ana abilities, probably like a medium-high priority for you to work on. Pretty important. Ult usage, maybe slightly better than Kiriko ult usage, but still a lot of the same things. Use it. Don't hold on to it. Right, pretty much a lot of the same things with Kiriko ult, except for maybe minus the minus a few things, like we weren't as hesitant to use it. We didn't have struggle with dying in it or that sort of thing. So overall, Ana ult usage would probably be more like a low end of a medium or so, or maybe a medium. Then you have mechanics. Scope, right? Scope usage is going to be, roughly speaking, 10 meters. Within 10 meters is on squishy targets is going to be unscoped. Further than that is scoped. 15 meters on tanks. Within that is unscoped. Past that is scoped. Roughly speaking, quick scope is when you're under pressure or moving around, but it's not something you want to use all the time. You're going to be quick scoping maybe like 10% of the time. The higher you go, the more you'll use it. And then the other two are maybe like 40-40 or something like that. Which that doesn't math, but it's fine. Then Kiriko, damage more often. You did a lot better in the second game. Aim for headshots, crosshair placement. Make sure you're just intentionally trying to go for those. Don't over heal. Heal when healing is needed. Don't heal when it's not needed. Just stop. Don't hold down the left click the entire game. That's not going to be very effective. It's going to kind of not do too much for you. Overall, mechanics in general. And then also I just say practice at your mechanics too. Just make sure you're landing shots and whatnot. Consider possibly lowering sensitivity a hair and mess around with that. Might help out a little bit. And then overall mechanics probably go to medium-high between the two characters. Then next comes your positioning. Positioning, make sure you're using cover. Good positioning is the use of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Take high grounds. High grounds are amazing. You can climb there super easily. Use Kiriko wall climb more. Even if it's something as simple as, doing this, where you're just, oh, there's something there blocking me. But you can do little quick jumps that make it harder for you to hit, right? Where we get more height on these jumps. Going off the wall. Make sure you are kind of staying within your range. Kiriko doesn't like to be like super far from anyone. Try try to be close if you're doing things to enemies, doing things to teammates. Try to close the distance. But of course, be careful while you're doing that. Using cover the whole way through. Being ready to teleport away. Overall, that was probably more like a medium priority. And then finally, awareness. Pay attention to your health bar, to just your general surroundings. I don't think we had too much trouble with kill feed. Probably say the main thing is pay attention to where your team is. Pay attention to where the enemy team is. Pay attention to kind of what's going on in the fight. What's your teammates' health bars at? What's the enemy team's health bars at? Who's in danger on my team? So that'd be the main thing I pay attention to is what's up with my team, what's up with their team. Another positioning thing, don't stand on top of cart if the fight's happening on cart, and in fights look to go more towards like the sides of fights. Don't stand in the middle of the fight because then you're just doing a 360 the entire time. Standing on the side gives you a lot more, it's going to be less confusing, give you more options on what to do, who to shoot at, who to heal, and you just make it overall easier. Overall awareness, probably more like a medium high, and maybe we could put positioning medium, sorry, not medium high. Awareness, probably more like a higher end of a medium. Maybe we could put positioning there too, or something along those lines. All in order. This is going to differ between Kiriko and Ana. Kiriko, number 1, is probably going to be your... mechanics. Then number 2, probably positioning. Number 3, awareness. 4, ult usage. 5, ability usage. Then next comes Ana. Ana, number 1, is probably going to be ability usage. Number 2 is going to be your... probably... trying to think here. Probably awareness. Number 3 is probably going to be your positioning. 4 is going to be your... mechanics, and 5 is ult usage. Any questions?
It all makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Not the last.
I didn't go over application and ran out of time. Long and short end of application is intensely focus on the thing you're trying to work on. If you're working on nades and sleeps, think abilities, and don't try to do everything all at once. Pick one category or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category, and then as you do that, it'll form as a habit. That's the really quick version of that.